First tonight, police officers face many dangers on the streets. They shouldn't have to fear their own handgun.
There's a growing evidence that the gun that hundreds of Washington officers carry could fire without the trigger being pulled. King 5 investigators have obtained this video from Spokane that first raised concerns here in Washington. Chris Ingalls reveals the growing number of incidents across the country.
We got medics and officers in around.
It's a frightening call for police to respond to.
Hang in there, Currington.
A fellow officer down, blood flowing from a gunshot wound to his leg. There's confusion.
You sure there was no shooter?
Over who fired the shot.
Sir? There was a shooter?
Yeah. There wasn't? It just went off? Okay.
It just went off, okay.
Police officer Kevin Currington wasn't in a gun battle. He was simply locking the gate for the evening at Northside Park in LaGrange, Texas, last June. Evidence soon pointed to his own duty weapon.
Sig, 9mm.
Somehow firing in the holster.
You did shoot yourself? It just went off, right?
It was in the holster.
So there is no suspect.
Officer Currington survived the shooting and became possibly the latest victim of the Sig Sauer P320 handgun. A version of the Sig P320 is the handgun of the United States military, and hundreds of thousands more are used by civilians and police.
Shooters, watch your threat.
But today, you won't find a single one on the firing line here.
3 left side, 3 right side.
At the facility that trains all police officers in Washington state. That's because the executive director of the Washington Criminal Justice Training Commission temporarily banned the P320 in October, even though several police departments want their recruits to use them.
We need to bring some people together and have a conversation about what's next. We cannot afford to have a recruit get hurt. And everybody says, as long as you keep your finger off the trigger, you're safe. And then that doesn't come true. That is scary.
Her team, a mix of firearms and law enforcement experts, has been investigating incidents involving the P320.
Just recently added some stuff from a local agency that had some issues and went away from the Sig Sauer.
Through records requests, King 5 obtained some of the evidence they're evaluating, starting with this October incident at the Training Commission's firing range in Spokane. Zooming the video, we see a Yakima police recruit drawing his P320. There's a cloud of dust to his right as a bullet strikes the ground, narrowly missing the trainee next to him. This report said the recruit's trigger finger was not on the trigger or in the trigger guard. That statement from a firearms instructor is evidence the P320 fired on its own.
There was an instructor right there, and he was actually watching the recruit, and the recruit did not have his finger on the trigger.
That October incident launched the Training Commission's investigation, which turned up a handful of other cases in Washington, none with injuries.
What the hell?
And many more nationwide.
My gun just went off.
Did you enjoy law enforcement?
100%. That was my goal as a young child.
This former sheriff's deputy was one of the victims.
In my patrol car, getting caught up on reports, whatever, go to get out of my car, getting ready to take my gun off in its holster. As I'm removing my admin holster, it shot me straight in the femur.
That's a law firm's animation of the 2018 incident that ended the 7-year career of Loudoun County, Virginia deputy Marcy Vadnais.
I lost my career, my marriage, still to date, it still affects me mentally, physically. I should not have to worry about if I manipulate a weapon inside a holster, fully seated in a holster, that it's going to shoot me in my thigh.
What do you think that we're still talking about this all these years later?
There's a serious problem with this gun. It should not be on store shelves to this date. Somebody is going to lose their life.
Sig Sauer did not respond to our messages for a comment, but it has fiercely defended the P320.
So we have representatives here from Sig Sauer. We reached out.
In this November meeting with the Training Commission work group,
holsters with wide apertures, that's a very big concern.
Sig Sauer employees offered alternative explanations for why P320s fired in some of those videos. And it says lab tests by Sig and the Army have never resulted in an unintended discharge.
It simply cannot happen. Okay, that sequence of components in there and the way that they are engineered does not allow this gun to just fire on its own.
That's their truth and that's their facts, and I'm not here to argue with that. I just want to see all the facts.
How many cases like this are you aware of?
Well over 200 at this point.
Connecticut Attorney Jeff Bagnell has filed 24 lawsuits against Sig, including one that ended in a confidential settlement for Marcy Vadnais.
I've been calling for this gun to be recalled for at least 8 years now.
But federal law protects gun manufacturers from mandatory recalls, even though Bagnell and others argue the gun's striker firing mechanism is a design flaw.
In the newer lawsuits, we're seeing the municipalities being named as a defendant because they had knowledge of the problem, and yet they still put it into the hands of their police officers.
Meaning, a decision to permanently ban the P320 at the Academy would reverberate through law enforcement across the state.
Because it is so unpredictable. It's literally like setting a ticking time bomb wherever it's sitting, waiting for it to go off.
The executive director here at the training center, Monica Alexander, says she'll be making a decision on whether to permanently ban the P320 soon. Right now, that ban is only temporary. Of the 3 police agencies that we know that use the P320, the Bellevue Police Department has a couple hundred of them. The Kitsap County Sheriff's Office has a couple hundred. So do the Burlington Police. There's no comment tonight from any of those agencies. I'm Chris Ingalls reporting live in Burien.
So, Chris, that covers police. What about civilians who own this gun? Are they in the same danger?
You know, they could be, Greg. I mean, they're generally the same guns that the police are using. I did find one case of a federal lawsuit filed in 2020 by a Pierce County man who said his P320 fired when it was in the holster. He was injured and filed a lawsuit against Sig, but his lawyer told me that they're not going to comment because there was a confidential settlement in that case. So, yes, civilians are at risk too.
Chris, thank you.